In this lesson, we're going to take a look at angles of rotation and reference angles, and then how to convert from degrees to radians and radians to degrees. So the first thing is how to have our angles of rotation written, and it's what's called standard position when its vertex is at the origin, remember kind of in the center there at 0, 0, and one ray is on the positive x-axis. So here's kind of some vocab here. If we go this direction, counterclockwise, is a positive rotation. If we go the other direction, clockwise, it is a negative rotation. And so we kind of always start here at our positive x-axis side as our 0, our initial side. And so we always include this kind of as the one side of our angle, and then our next side of our angle is called the terminal side, where it kind of stops. Angle of rotation, again, we kind of talked about that, counterclockwise and clockwise. So let's do a little bit of practice here. So for our angle here of 320, so this is 0, this is 90, this is 180 degrees, and this would be 270. And if I want 320, then I am going to be past my 270 about 50 degrees. And this whole quadrant, remember, is 90, so I'm going to be a little bit more than half. And I am going to have this as my initial, and then this is my terminal, and I draw an arrow kind of showing the direction in which I'm going, and there it is. So now for this next one, we are going to be a negative 110. So we're going to start at our initial just like the last time, but this would be negative 90, negative 180, negative 270, because we're going to go clockwise. And we are at 110, so just 20 degrees past the 90. So, and it's not obviously going to be exact, but it's going to be, we want to make it as accurate as we can. All right, so 465, that definitely is more than 360. So if we take 465 and kind of subtract our 360, because we're going to make a full circle, we're going to have a full circle plus 105 degrees. So we're going to start at 0, and we're going to go, again, 90, 180, 270. We're going to go all the way around, and then we're going to go another 105. And so it will look like that. All right, so a reference angle is when it is at a kind of standard position, it is how much more until we get to kind of our 180 or our 360. So it kind of gives us a reference to where we are at, okay? And I forgot to go over our quadrants here real quick. Up on the front, so I wanted to add those back in here. But quadrant 1, remember quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So just when it refers to any quadrants, that's what it's referring to. All right, so reference angle. So we're going to do what we did last time, and we're going to draw it. And then our reference is always positive. Always less than 90. Oop, I can write, there we go. And then always the shortest distance to the x-axis, so either 180 or are getting to 360, so that x-axis. So always the shortest distance. When we say distance, it's just the degrees away, not actual length kind of thing. And so 90, and so this is kind of 110, and so then we are 70 degrees away from 180. So that would be our reference angle. So for this one, we're going to draw our 135 and then find its reference angle. So starting out here and going 135, So that's 135 degrees. And then 180. So it's going to be this region here, our reference angle. So how much away from 180 are we? 45 degrees. Remember, that's 270, that's 360. So 45 degrees for that little shaded part to get to our 180. So here we have our negative 105. So we're going to go clockwise. And a little too much there. So we're only 15 past. And here's our 180. And so it's this here to get to, it's again the closest, negative 180, negative 90. And so we are 75 degrees. Again, always positive. And it is how much away from the x-axis. So this next one here for 325 is going to go this direction, and then we are closest to 360 degrees for this one. So again, we're trying to just get to that x-axis. So it's going to be this right here, and we are just 35 degrees away from our 360. So that's our reference angle for that. So go ahead and try D. You're going to go clockwise since it's a negative 115, and then figure out how far away from your x-axis here. And hopefully you got 65 degrees away from that negative 180. So the last thing we're going to talk about is how to change from radians to degrees and degrees to radians. So radian is a standard unit of angle measure, and angle's measurement in radians is numerically equal to the length of a corresponding arc of the circle with a radius of 1. So when we want to change into radians, we just multiply by pi over 180. If we want to go the other direction, we into degrees, it's 180 over pi, because we need to cancel out our pi. So basically, if we don't have a pi, we're going to put the pi on top and multiply across. If we do have the pi goes on the bottom and the 180 goes on top, and we multiply across, because we want the pi on the top to cancel with the pi on the bottom, and then just multiplying the numbers and simplifying. Okay, so multiply this one, pi on top over 180. So if we multiply that, it's going to be 60 pi over 180, and then we just simplify. 60 divided by 180 is 1/3, and then we have the pi on top. And over here, 2 times 180 is 360 divided by 3, and that's 120. So here, 80 pi over 180 simplifies to 4 pi over 9. Here, pi on the bottom, 180 on the top. The pi's cancel. 360 divided by 9 is 40. So try those last two and check when you're ready. All right, check your answers for 5 and 6.